Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and I redid this video because on the first one, when I was talking about the Gemini full moon conjunct Mars, I just kept coughing and coughing and coughing, and then my face was very beet red. Maybe I'll put it up as a blooper in a future video. But after I stopped recording and just had time to think about it, I thought that there might be some people watching this that felt that throat chakra block, or that they are not allowing themselves to be expressed, or they need to have a certain conversation with someone. Because remember, that full moon conjunct Mars in the sign of Gemini, a lot was happening with regards to our words, our thoughts, our nervous system. And so you might still be integrating that, or might still be going over those conversations or those words or those negotiations. But if you haven't yet engaged in those conversations, I think that it might be very healing, very cathartic, even if it's just speaking them out loud or journaling them out. So you're not holding that energy in. And secondly, with the transits that we're experiencing this week, it's very likely that those words or those thoughts will need to be expressed in some way. So if you've been holding back or have just been feeling a certain type of way from that full moon that we had last week, you're definitely not alone. If you want an additional resource to dive into those themes to do the work a little bit more, I'll put our full moon workshop in the description of this video. Okay. So let's dive into this week to see what is shaking. So we're starting on Monday, December 12th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a reminder that Mercury is now going to be entering its pre-retrograde shadows. So backing up all your electronics, doing the dutiful things that we know around this time. I will say that, remember, Venus was retrograde in the sign of Capricorn at the start of this year. So looking back over all of 2022, there may be certain themes that you were revisiting. I'm having a lot of clients really look back over this past year and see what has taken place in love, in relationships, at work, with their finances. Of course, a lot of talk about recession right now. So a lot of people are in this space where they want to grow, they want to expand, they want to learn new skills, but then all of this talk of recession is keeping them maybe in a current relationship or job, or not necessarily wanting to expand because they're afraid of, what if it doesn't work, then I won't have this safety net. So this is your opportunity, one, to place new structures, new habits, new forms of discipline to assist you, right? We have Venus, Mercury, Pluto, all in Capricorn soon. The sun will also be joining them. So that house in your natal chart ruled by Capricorn will be very activated. But secondly, Mercury is going to be here for a while. So your mindset around what it is you want, the long game of really setting you up for success, you're probably getting those downloads now. And that is also speaking to what I mentioned at the start of this video, that there are obviously going to be certain people, certain situations, certain habits that you are doing that are just no longer aligned, or that they have to change in order to better support you moving forward. Pretty much every single client I talked to this past week had some type of revelation, or has been rethinking how they want to do their job or to show up in their family, because of course all these transits are affecting all of us at that macro level. How that's at a micro level will be dependent on the chart and how these transits are showing up for you. So being a bit of that introspective, reflective energy this week will serve you very well. And a reminder, one more time, back up your electronics. That energy is also being reflected here with the moon in Leo making that sextile to Mars retrograde. So if there are things that you want to circle back on, maybe certain people haven't gotten back to you, that you're going to send an email just to check in. This can also be a really nice day as well, that if you've been meaning to post certain content or send certain documents or to do certain things to put yourself out there, that moon in Leo, of course, spotlight energy, being fabulous, sharing love and warmth, this will be a good time to enact that and get that done today on Monday, because when we get to Tuesday, it's definitely a bit of a different energy with, of course, when the moon is in a fixed sign, she's facing some challenging aspects. We have the moon opposing Saturn. We have the moon making a square to Uranus. And we can also see this Sun Neptune square almost exact. What does this mean? It can mean that maybe you know that there's all this work to be done, but that doesn't make it any easier. There's only so many hours in a day. You have certain obligations that you feel like you can't just drop or you can't end yet. And so this delay, or this having to say no, or having no being said to you, can cause overwhelm. And we may feel like all this creativity, all this innovation, these new opportunities are coming, but they're not here yet. This Sun Neptune square can be very nice for all creatives or to expand our spiritual well being, but it can also make us very porous and very sensitive to energy. So, when I was thinking about this, it can be you've had a really challenging day or the start of your week, and you're just going to dip back in and being like, I'm just going to have a couple drinks just to help me relax, or I'm going to engage with that old lover because that's just really easy right now in the moment. I don't want you to take in unaligned energy just because it's hard right now. If anything, this moon Uranus square leads to rethinking things, or if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, then switching your morning or evening routine, or even switching the route in which you go to work if you're in transit. Don't just keep doing things the same way. There's still some really benefic energy to be harvested from Tuesday. The moon making that trine to the sun. There's a lot of jovialness, a lot of happiness. This can also be too, if there's one area of your life that isn't going well, what about the 9 other areas in your life that are thriving, that have so much love, so much expansion going on there? It might also be that you just want to be around happy people today. It's like something's going really stressful in your family life. Maybe you call your best friend, you just go for a walk or grab a coffee, and being with that radiant, loving energy dissipates the stress that you're feeling in one area of your life. And then after that conversation or after that solar happy connection, you can see things from a different vantage point. So yes, there can be a bit of contraction on Tuesday or you working through some things, but don't allow that to stop everything. Allow yourself to pivot and still be in the receptive mode for love and joy. That's very strong here as well. When we get to Wednesday, this is kind of like go time. This is where you can get a lot of things done and be very productive. So don't be hard on yourself on Tuesday. Wednesday is a good time to get to work or to get planning or to even set up something pleasurable. With the moon in Virgo making a trine to Venus, this can be where you're contacting people to organize an event or a function. This can be a time where you're connecting with a wealth advisor to see how you can refinance a credit card. This can be a time where you're setting up these long-term structures now to maybe have 2 weeks off for the holidays, or to really set yourself up because you know family's coming over and you want a cleaning person to come in every 3 or 4 days to help you get your home ready. Like, I want you to see if there's something that you can plan or initiate on Wednesday to make your life easier or to give you pleasure, or you might even ask or be asked on a date on Wednesday. This is just like a really nice energy of something fun, something enjoyable coming into your purview. Also, too, this could be like you wrapping presents and listening to holiday music and really getting in the mood. Or this could just be you cleaning up your life, and by wrapping up loose ends, paying off old credit card bills, and getting things ready, that you're now open to new energy. Venus in Capricorn, this is a cardinal sign. This is getting everything new to initiate something, right? So don't be afraid to do that nitty-gritty work to get those things off of the to-do list to welcome in new energy. It's like you want to go travel, but before you can go travel and enjoy your holidays, you need to pay all your employees. So pay all of your employees so that they're happy, that they can enjoy their holidays, and then you can close your books and enjoy the holidays as well. Was there anything else I want to touch on here? What really is exciting, and I say exciting in a very open way, is when we get to Thursday, we can kind of see in typical fashion, there's moments of expansion, contraction. We see a mutable hot pot, so to speak, on Thursday because the moon is now in opposition to Neptune. The moon is making a square to the sun and a square to Mars. So this can manifest in a couple different ways. This can manifest in overwhelm, both physically and mentally, because Virgo rules the intestines and our digestive tract. So the moon representing the body, it can be that there is like GI distress or overeating or maybe undereating. So if you're a stress eater, or be careful what you order from takeout or going to a new restaurant. If you don't feel intuitively aligned, just maybe don't go out on Wednesday or Thursday to a new restaurant that maybe you don't trust or doesn't feel safe. really leaning on certain foods that you know are good for you. Maybe you're not going to drink a lot of coffee to upset your stomach or be overly acidic. You want to make sure that you're eating and supporting your physical body because you're going to need it on Thursday. The moon also opposing Neptune can manifest in a couple of different ways, one of which being when we are mentally overwhelmed or physically overwhelmed, that we lean to certain vices, substances, and addictions to help us with that. Even I see this in natal charts or in transit, that we allow ourselves go, or the discipline or the boundaries that we know are going to help us can sometimes be skewed, because remember, Neptune is very nebulous, it's very porous, it can just completely dissolve boundaries. I am curious because we do have this grand Earth trine in effect. We have Moon in Virgo, Mercury and Venus in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. So I think that'll help because we can kind of see almost like a grand kite formation, not quite, but the grand Earth trine is really helpful here. But just be aware of this Neptune. If anything, the Neptune can help with the creativity, with the innovation, with the reinvention that we were talking about with the Sun and Neptune. But it can also mean that even with all this grounding energy with the grand Earth trine, that certain energies, certain people, certain substances can still completely alter what that stability looks like and feels like. One of which ways that I've been seeing it a lot is I have a lot of clients right now expanding nonstop. They know that their whole entire life is about to change, but all this talk around the recession is affecting them and it's still sitting in their body in some type of way. So they're like, I feel like I'm saying I can't afford this, or I'm not allowing myself to enjoy this, when in reality, they know they have the funds, the money to enjoy. So just be very careful the energy that you take on. And it can also be this energy too with the moon in Virgo of wanting to help everyone. And so it's like, let me help this person, or I feel like I have so much energy that I can reach out to my sibling or my best friend and help them with their problems. And then the people that you're trying to help, are in their feelings or they're in their scarcity. It can really affect your stability. So be careful what you take on from social media on Thursday. Be careful of trying to like save the world and help everyone. It doesn't mean you have to be selfish, but making sure that you're taken care of first, making sure that you are completely grounded, stable, and secure before you put yourself out there to try and help other people. Because again, this could also be a connection with the mother or a feminine energy making you feel a certain type of way or making you feel stressed, which is then causing this overwhelm. So Thursday, needless to say, is a very energetically charged day. I think in its highest form, it can lead to great breakthroughs, great creativity to help you move forward with that energy. On the other side, if we allow other people to pull our energy, or we're not feeding ourselves the right foods and taking time to calm our mind, we can be completely swept in the other direction. So please use discernment on Thursday and be very protective of your energy, and only help or connect into that social media grid if you're feeling called, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be going every which direction this day. Friday is a bit better because now the moon is separating from a lot of those hard transits. And we see the moon here opposing Jupiter, which is quite nice. Any aspect of Jupiter, especially Jupiter being one of its favorite signs, is going to be a benefic. This could also be too where, for those of you who are more pragmatic or to the book or more cerebral, this can help open you up. It can be also like something miraculous happening, or one of your manifestations coming in where on paper it wouldn't seem possible, but then you see the work, or you hear someone else say what magic or benevolence befall them, and so then you believe it too. It can just also give you a lot of options as well. So you've done the work, you've set up the structure, now there's so many things you can enjoy or get to partake in, which is really nice for a Friday, depending on your time zone, because then the moon is going to be moving into Libra later that day. But be open to expansion, be open to different opportunities of making you feel good as well. This could also just be like an emotional day where there's a lot going on. You just need a good cry. And then after you've released that energy, then you feel happiness and there all this joy is around you. So it can go either way, of course. We also see the moon making that trine to Pluto. So I just feel like there's going to be clarity or a knowingness that you're wanting to engage in moving into the weekend, which is quite nice, of course. So when we are moving into Saturday, we have the moon making a trine to Mars retrograde and the moon making a square to Venus. We also see here that Mercury is making a trine to Uranus. And remember that Mercury will be stationing retrograde later on in the month, December 28th. So it'll be making that trine to Uranus again. So I think there's going to be This can manifest a couple different ways. Moon, Venus square, this can be aesthetics, this can be beauty, this can be, again, connection to mother or our own relationships. So I think as well, too, if some of you have been foregoing your health, or you're like, I've been busy so weak, I just haven't had a chance to work out, that instead of being hard on yourself, like, oh, why did I drop the ball? I'm not feeling as fit or sexy, and I have to go to this holiday party later tonight. Just go to the gym and make that time for yourself. It's like, great, this is a perfect moon, Mars retrograde energy of I'm not going to be hard on myself, moon, Venus. Instead, I'm just going to do the thing that I should have done before and engage in that. I also think too, because we have the moon in aspect to most Venus and Mars and the moon in Libra, I think something around love, sex, connection, relationships is likely to come up for majority of people. That could also be like someone reaching out. So you've done all this work, you've done all this emotional, energetic clearing, and then you have someone from your past being like, hey, like, what are you doing? Are you up? Do you want to connect later tonight or this weekend? And it's going to be up to you to decide if you want to set those boundaries, which come up on Sunday with the moon making a trine to Saturn. And all throughout Saturday, too, the moon is getting that energy from Saturn to support you, to put in these structures, routines, and these habits so that you don't have to feel so much pressure, or that you have to work as much, or that you are feeling maybe insecure or lacking in love and relationships. Really, all these transits in Capricorn, and what I've been feeling and seeing on my end with clients and friends and family, is it's just setting us up for success. But when we're being called higher, when we're being called to expand, sometimes that can be challenging because it means saying no to certain people or certain things, or it means having honest conversations with ourselves for that truth to be revealed. And that honesty and that truth and those revelations definitely come through on Sunday when the moon makes that square to Pluto. I also want you to note where you're giving your power, especially in relationships. So that could be relationships to you and thinking about money. That can be you, a physical relationship between you and another person, because that is also going to be in effect over this weekend. I mean, we're very close to Christmas and all the holidays that are ensuing. So this is a good time to see where you're putting your energy, what and whom has power over you, so that you know the structure and the boundary that can help you. You know where you're going to put forth your time and where other things are not going to overwhelm or overtake you, especially because once we get to the end of this week, we've been through a couple of days that are very energetically charged. So you'll know what's worth it and what is not by the end of the week, moving into the rest of the holidays, okay? We can also see here that now the sun is within a 3-degree square of the Jupiter in Pisces. So we only have 2 days of this, because if we just give a sneak peek for next week, once we get to the 20th of December, we have Jupiter moving into Aries. So this sun Jupiter aspect, again, is very nice. The sun is ruled, or the sun in Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So again, there's really nice energy that can be had here. And this can also just be joyous. It can be expansive. So I want you to see on Sunday that if you're finding out the truth, or there's an opportunity for healing, that this is exactly what's meant to happen, that this finding out of knowledge or having an honest conversation with yourself or someone else is actually having a positive resolve. So kind of like what I was saying at the beginning of this video when I kept coughing during my first take, that words, conversations, being honest with yourself are only going to benefit you. And we're still integrating that full moon, right? So take time maybe for greater introspection, or for journaling, or just to use your words to serve you, because all week we can see that if we hold that energy in, it's only going to cause kind of distress of the mind, or it can affect our energy levels, or it can affect our creativity. So potentially wearing blue or holding blue crystals or having them on your desk as you're working to help activate that throat chakra, taking time to meditate, to do breath work, to get grounded, is really going to be important this week, so we can reap the positive energy of the expansion of the faith, of our beliefs, to take us to that next level. And then all the Capricorn energy can set the long-term structures that we need to take us there. And be very careful the energy you take on from social media and others around that Wednesday, Thursday mark, right? That'll really help. So our astrology question of the week comes from Volton the Goblin. Great handle. They say, I have 3 fire signs in my chart: Leo sun, Aries moon, Sag rising. Spicy. Is there a significance to this? I've never heard of having all three in the same element before. So this is a great question. It's not uncommon to have all three, sun, rising, moon, in a certain element. There are certain celebrities and people in our life, of course, that have the sun, rising, and moon in the same zodiac sign. For example, Katy Perry and Bjork are triple Scorpios. And what's wild is that Scorpios ruled by Mars. Both Katy Perry and Bjork have their Mars in Capricorn in the third house. We find communication or using our voice in the third, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn. And both Katy Perry and Bjork, of course, are known for being very powerful singers. So I found that very interesting when I was just that was the first thing I thought of in terms of people that have the same element or the same sign in their sun, rising, moon, of just a unique signature. But in terms of significance, if you have your sun, rising, and moon in the same element, fire, water, air, or earth, it just amplifies that energy that is available to you. If those are all closer in degree, like we saw this week with the grand earth trine, it just makes that energy more available. I would look at the houses in which those are. In this case, if it's the rising sun and moon, then the rising is the first, the fifth house, and the ninth house. So that is in terms of pleasure, creativity, opportunity for you and connected to yourself. So if you have that same signature where your rising sign is in one element, as are your sun and your moon, I would often say that having that outlet for adventure, pleasure, creativity, children are probably going to be a big part of your life as well in the fifth, or you traveling or having fun or being some type of influential, creative, or disseminating knowledge to other people, that's going to be very strong. So just knowing that those parts of your life are going to be very activated, but also the qualities of that element. So for example, fire. Fire gives us light. It is very expansive. It needs to grow or have people to pour into to kind of light up or to keep warm. With fire as well, can be very ambitious, very playful, very dynamic. So I think that with people with dominant fire energy, they are often public figures, or they are in the spotlight, or they are very active. They can be very physical with their body. So there can be a lot of that outward movement that needs to happen. I will say as well, for anyone, if there is one element in your chart that isn't as strong, so let's say for this question, they have the sun, rising, moon, and a fire sign, they have a couple placements in air and earth, but they don't have any water placements in their chart, then it would be important that, yes, you have a lot of fire energy available to you, but you need to help balance your chart by adding more of the water element. So that could be taking baths, that could be living near water, or that could be going to bodies of water to meditate or just to physically be by that presence. So you're help balancing out the chart. And on the other end, if you have a lot of fire in this example, then you want to be around fire energy. You want to be around dynamic, exciting people. Maybe cooking is going to bring you a lot of joy, or working out, or being outside, being in a warm climate. You want to embrace that element that's very active in your chart, but you also want to look at if there is an element or two elements in your chart that are lacking, that you can help to balance yourself out when you need it, or when you're feeling like things are a little awry, or that you need a little more grounding, to look at that and see where you can put that in a little bit more. Okay. So let me know how that resonates for the astro question of the week, or if anyone has experiences in their own chart, if they have a sun, rising, moon, all in one zodiac sign, or an all in one element, and how that manifests for you. And if there's any questions from the week that we just discussed, let me know, or any other general questions that you'd like answered, please leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them in a future forecast. Thank you all for watching. Have a beautiful, expansive, creative week ahead, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.